Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Memory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our 2013 prospect rankings preview video. We're going to look at the offensive linemen. So let's take a look at some top prospects, some small school prospects, and some sleepers that you want to keep an eye on.
In my opinion, there's 4 elite tackle prospects in this draft. You look at Luke Joeckel, number 1, 6'7", 310 pounds out of Texas A&M, does a great job at everything. It's tough to find a weakness in this game, should be a fixture on the left side for a very long time. And when you look at Eric Fisher, a guy that does a lot of the same things as Luke Joeckel, it's tough to find weaknesses in both of these guys' game. That's why I gave them both top 15 grade. I think Eric Fisher may be a tad stronger at the point of attack. DJ Fluker out of Alabama is an awesome prospect as a right tackle, 6'5", 355, a big, massive guy that also has surprisingly quick feet. So you can get creative in your offensive run game with Fluker on the bookend. And when you look at Lane Johnson, another athletic guy, former tight end, former quarterback prospect, 6'6", 305 at Oklahoma. His best football is in front of him, so he has the tremendous upside that you want out of a draft prospect. There's also a lot of elite prospects in the guard class this year. You look at Chance Warmack being the best of the bunch, 6'2", 322, a top 15 grade in my opinion. This guy just dominates the line of scrimmage in the run game and also has solid pass protection skills. The same thing can be said for Jonathan Cooper as far as his pass protection, which is why I gave him a first-round grade, 6'3", 310 out of North Carolina. Look for him to do a great job on the interior, keeping that pressure off the quarterback. And when you look at Larry Warford out of Kentucky, may not be in the same class as Dermontti Dawson, but the next best interior offensive lineman to come out of Kentucky since then. As for the center position, there's only 2 guys that really stand out in my opinion. Barrett Jones has the versatility to play anywhere on the offensive line, which is why I gave him a late first-round, second-round grade. Outstanding prospect coming out of Alabama. And when you look at Travis Frederick out of Wisconsin, big mammoth center that can also move. So he's 6'4", 340. So another guy that you can get creative with your running game. Get him out on those pulls and traps, and that way you can have success running the football right behind big number 72. Now here are my next tier prospects of offensive linemen. These are guys that I have graded with a 2nd through 4th round grade, so they can go anywhere within those 3 rounds. Top to bottom, this is a lot of talent on this list. You look at a guy like Justin Pugh out of Syracuse, 6'5", 300 pounds. Also Blaze Foltz, I'm a big fan of, 6'3", 329 out of TCU. Khalid Holmes has to improve his strength at the point of attack if he wants to be effective. Braxton Cave did a great job for Notre Dame throughout his career. And I'm a big fan of Mario Benavidez, 6'3", 279. May not be the biggest, but definitely a technician, and did a great job protecting Teddy Bridgewater for Louisville. And also Oday Abouche out of Virginia, one of the best tackle prospects I've seen this season in the ACC. And Kyle Long should go higher than I have him listed, 6'6", 305, coming out of Oregon. Matt Stinky, which is a sleeper in my opinion, 6'3", 305 out of Penn State. When you look at an offense that have success, you have to look at the offensive line play, and you also have to look at the center. He made the right calls, getting these guys in the right position. That way they can be well protected. Jordan Mills caught my attention at the Senior Bowl, did a great job with the outstanding edge rushers that were in attendance. So look for him to be one of those guys that can play left or right tackle. He has that type of ability. And when you look at R.J. Dill out of Rutgers, big guy, 6'6", 316, another versatile guy that can play left or right tackle. So when you look at that Rutgers team, there's a lot of pro prospects off that roster. Dill, in my opinion, will fall, but definitely will be a sleeper. And when you look at Patrick Ward out of Northwestern, played in that spread type of offense, so he has experience in playing in space, and that's what I like about him. Shows good footwork and great hand placement, plays the piano very well. And you can say the same thing about Lane Taylor, playing at Oklahoma State. Interior offensive line play is important when you run the spread offense, so he has that experience. Should be a solid prospect for teams that run that style of offense. And Tobias Smith out of Mississippi State, this will be his 2nd year removed from that injury, so look for his best football to be ahead of him. Someone's going to get a steal later on in a draft. Teron Armstead out of Arkansas Pine Bluff made himself some money at the East-West Shrine Game and also at the Senior Bowl double duty. May end up being a guard, but definitely a solid pro prospect. Manase Foketti out of West Texas A&M was a Kansas State transfer, 6'5", 333, projects to be a right tackle, so Foketti is definitely a guy that can help bolster your ground game. And Rogers Gaines of Tennessee State stood out to me on film as an outstanding pass protector. You look at that Ohio Valley Conference, they play some great defense and have some great defensive lines. He did a great job keeping that quarterback well protected. And Luke McQuart, 6'9", 312 pounds out of tiny Azusa Pacific. One thing he does well is gets his hands on a defender. If he can do that, he can win, but he has to get stronger at the point of attack and play with better leverage. Eric Cush out of Cal PA, 6'4", 304, dominated Division II competition. One thing I like about him is his athleticism. This is another guy that you can get out on the perimeter on certain pulls and traps. J.C. Treader out of Cornell, 6'4", 302, protected the outstanding quarterback prospect for next year, Jeff Matthews, and also was an outstanding run defender. So you look at a guy that I gave a third-round grade to that's high praise coming out of the Ivy League. And when you look at Earl Watford, another guy that was down there at the East-West Shrine game, did a great job as a tackle, but may end up being a guard at the next level, may have to add some weight in order to be effective. I was able to cover Garrett Gilkey down at the Senior Bowl this year, 6'6", 314 pounds, graded him out as a 5th-round prospect, has to get stronger to be able to handle the rigors of interior defensive line play at the next level. And another small college guy out of Glenville State, Mark Jackson, 6'6", 341, played left tackle in college, also can play guard at the next level, but may end up being a right tackle. So you have some scheme versatility with a guy like Jackson. Now, here are some of the other offensive line prospects that also carried Football Game Plan draftable grades. When you look at Xavier Nixon, one aspect of his game that he has to improve on is his pass protection. Tends to give up a lot of sacks and is due to his poor footwork. If that can improve, he can be a steal in the later parts of the draft. And you also look at David Keesenberry out of San Jose State, a guy that may end up inside at guard. Had a solid week at the Senior Bowl that I was able to observe. So I look for him to either play tackle or guard, but he does provide that versatility for an offense. And you want to keep it locked in here to Football Game Plan throughout the course of draft season, as our senior draft analyst Chris James does a great job breaking down the prospects on his radio show every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time at blogtalkradio.com/footballgameplan. And you can also follow him on Twitter at CJ429.